إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran describes the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in one beautiful ayah. He says, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, that you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, have the best of manners, the best of etiquettes. And he addresses the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he tells him that if you didn't have these pristine manners that you have, وَلَا كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ, that if you were harsh or coarse or you didn't have good manners, then the people would turn away from you because of your behavior. But of course the Prophet ﷺ had the best of manners, like we said. In the Prophet ﷺ is an example for us to follow. The way he behaved, the way he spoke, the way he walked, the way he interacted with people. Allah tells us, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ, that verily indeed in the Prophet ﷺ is for us a beautiful example for us to follow. And that today I want to talk about the noble manners and characteristics of the Prophet ﷺ which we are in desperate need of understanding and implementing. The Prophet ﷺ, he explained his mission, he explained his reason to come to mankind and why he is giving his message. إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ, that I have been sent لِأُتَمِّمَ, that means to complete what? Your makarim al-akhlaq, to perfect your manners. So I want to give a reminder, a gentle reminder, but I want to talk from a different angle. We heard the manners and the etiquette of the Prophet ﷺ, but it's a reminder, one that we always need, because our manners, our etiquettes, the way we carry ourselves changes. We have difficult times, we have easy times, we can change our manners due to our surroundings. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ ذِكْرَ تَنْفَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So this is a reminder for us, and every reminder is one that benefits us. So my dear brothers and sisters, our goal today, inshallah ta'ala, by the time you walk out of the khutbah, our goal is that we are going to be motivated to change ourselves, to better our behaviors and our manners such that they are in line with the way the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would carry himself. Now, I want to talk about a number of points. The first point, many a times a companion came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him for advice. Awsini, give me advice, Ya Rasulullah. And the Prophet ﷺ would give different advices depending upon the person who he's speaking to. But if we look at them, if we look at these different advices that he gave whenever he was asked, you can put them into one category. And that is about akhlaq, husn al-khuluq, having good manners. The first advice, let's look at some examples. A companion came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, awsini, give me advice. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, La taghdab. 2 words. The man heard this. He wasn't satisfied. He said, Prophet, give me more advice. The Prophet ﷺ again said to him, La taghdab. Don't get angry. And the man asked again for the 3rd time. And the Prophet ﷺ said to him again, La taghdab. Do not get angry. Because when you get angry is when you make mistakes. Another time, Mu'adh bin Jabal came to the Prophet ﷺ and also asked him for advice. Awsini. And Mu'adh bin Jabal is a senior companion. And he asked for advice. The Prophet ﷺ responded and he said, Ittaqillah haythuma kunt. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala haythuma kunt, no matter where you are. Once again advising him to perfect himself, to be aware of Allah, to have the manners that the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us. And he further in that same hadith, he said to him, وَخَالِقِ النَّاسِ بِخُلُقٍ حُسْنٍ, that treat the people that you meet, khaliq al-nas, treat them, have good character, good manners with them, with the best of manners. In another advice, a companion came to the Prophet and asked him for advice, and the Prophet said to him, it's a long hadith, but from the hadith, the Prophet akbar al-kabair, from amongst the major of sins, and he explained to the companions the major sins, and he said that one, after explaining the major sins, that one should overlook the mistakes of others. Once again, in an advice, the Prophet was telling his companions that if you see your fellow brethren making mistakes, overlook their mistakes. Make excuses for the mistakes that one may make. So, these three pieces of advice, there's so many. But from these three, you can see the first one, the Prophet is saying, don't get angry. The second one, he's saying to fear Allah. And in the third one, he's advising the companions to treat people well. So you can see that these advices are surrounding your manners, your etiquette, the way you carry yourself. Another great blessing and a motivational aspect of how to have good manners is that the Prophet ﷺ said that people cannot be given anything better in this dunya than husnul khuluq. A person can have wealth, a person can have all the things he wants, but if he doesn't have good manners, if he doesn't have the character of the Prophet ﷺ, then you know that this person is not liked. How many people do you know that they've got everything in the world that they need, but you don't like to sit with them, you don't like to talk to them because they are harsh, they don't take your feelings into consideration, they don't consider you, their behavior is not nice. So the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that from amongst the best things that you can have is husnul khuluq, such that people will not just love you because of your good character. Think about a person now that you really aspire and you like. Maybe it is due to someone you've met, maybe due to his knowledge or something, but one of the key things that will draw you to that particular person is the way he treats you or she treats you. It's because of the husnul khuluq. So we can see here a second thing, my dear brothers and sisters, that one of the best things in this dunya is to have husnul khuluq. Furthermore, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, alayka bi husnul khuluq. When alayka is another way of giving an order. The Prophet ordered the believers to have good manners. And in the same thing he said, wa tul as-samt, and to have long times where you don't talk. The Prophet ﷺ is giving you here beautiful advice how to be successful in this world. Number one, have husn al-khuluq, have good manners. And the second thing he said, tul as-samt. What does that mean? To stay quiet. Don't talk too much. The more you talk, the more mistakes you will make. So the Prophet ﷺ is giving you two very golden pieces of advices. The third thing, many of us, we have weaknesses in our ibadat. Maybe we don't pray as much as we want to. Maybe we don't read Quran as much as we want to. Maybe we want to fast Mondays and Thursdays and we're not able to do so because of our own personal weakness, but we want to. These people, as-sawwam wal-qawwam, the Prophet ﷺ talked about the people who continuously fast. The qawwam, the one who wakes up at night and he prays. We all want to be like that, but we have shortcomings. Well, guess what? Here is another formula on how you can be like these people, but without having to do those things. The Prophet ﷺ said that the person who has husnul khuluq, he has good manners and treats people well, he is on the same maqam, the same level of as-sawwam wal-qawwam, the one who continually fasts and the one who continually prays. The fourth thing, the Prophet ﷺ, he connected husnul khuluq, having a good character, being a good person, having good manners, with iman. Now this is a very important connection. Your manners reflect your iman. The Prophet ﷺ said, أكمل المؤمنين إيمانا وأحسنهم خلقا وخياركم خياركم لنسائهم. The Prophet ﷺ said that the akmal, that the perfect, to complete your iman, the mu'min, the best of believers in his iman, is أحسنهم خلقا, is the one who has the best manners. Subhanallah. So what does that show then? Look at the inverse. If your manners are bad, then your iman is weak. And if your manners are good, it's an indication that your iman is also strong. So the two are interconnected. In a very famous hadith, everyone knows this, two words, and it summarizes this point. Ad-deenu al-mu'amala. That the religion is al-mu'amala, how you deal with one another. And the Prophet ﷺ is telling us very clearly that your mu'amala is directly linked to your iman. The stronger the iman, the better your manners, and the inverse is also. The Prophet ﷺ also described the manners, and he said, الَّذِينَ يَعْلِفُونَ وَيُؤْلِفُونَ, that the people who have good manners are those who are friendly and are friendly to others as well. They're friendly people and they're friendly to others as well. A person who is easy to speak to, a person who you enjoy speaking to, has a friendly character, friendly persona. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about the characteristics of the modest or the righteous people. Allah says, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ لَلْعَبْدِ هَوْنًا. That those, عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ, the servants of Ar-Rahman. Don't say Ibadullah, it says Ar-Rahman. Think about why Allah chose here Ar-Rahman and not saying Allah. Because Allah is saying that the ibad, the servants of the most merciful, this is the highest level, the servants of the most merciful are those الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ. They walk on this earth هَوْنًا, in a humble manner. They're not arrogant, they don't show off. They're very humble and very down to earth. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. SubhanAllah, golden rule. If you learn these key things, you'll be very successful in life. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. If a jahil, a person came to you, causing trouble, backbiting, slandering, saying things that are of no benefit, if he speaks to you, the Prophet said that a person with good manners will respond with what? As-salam. He'll say, Assalamu alaikum. He will say nothing but good to him. Somebody is backbiting, don't join the backbiting. Somebody is lying, don't encourage him to lie. Rather, just say as-salam and leave it at that. So here another characteristic, وَإِذَا خَاطَبُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The Prophet in another hadith described a person with good manners, that al-mu'min hayyin layyin, that a believer is very gentle. He's very gentle. He doesn't have a harsh character. He doesn't shout. He's not vulgar. He doesn't swear. Al-mu'min hayyin layyin. He's very gentle and his heart is very soft. In another fifth point, talking about good manners. Your good manners are directly linked to the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who doesn't want the love of Allah? How will we enter Jannah if we don't have the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What does Allah say? Inna Allah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Inna Allah jameel yuhibbul jamal. That Allah is beauty. He is beautiful. And He loves beauty. Wa yuhib mukarim al-akhlaq. That He loves good manners. Subhanallah. See how they're connected. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves beauty. And at the same time, straight after, He says, and He loves good manners. Meaning that beauty is in good manners. If you speak to each other well, behave with each other well, live up to your promises. You've taken a loan, give that loan back. You said you're going to be there in 10 minutes, be there in 9. Live up to your promises. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying from makarim al-akhlaq. This is from the best of manners and is directly linked to Allah, how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves you. My dear brothers and sisters, it's important for us to contemplate on our behavior and our character. We need to change the way we are. We need to change our approach. We need to be more kind towards one another, more friendly towards one another, more loving, more caring, and take people into consideration. The Prophet ﷺ in one hadith, he gave a warning. He said, should I tell you about the person that Jannah has been made haram upon this person? Think about this. That Jannah has been made permanently closed for this person. Who is this person? Is it a murderer? Is it a killer? Is it a thief? No, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, it is the one with a vulgar tongue. The one when he speaks, he says nothing but evil. The one who insults, the one who swears, the one who is disrespectful to people. And the Prophet ﷺ said, this type of person, Jannah has been made haram for him. The sixth point. Good manners are one of the heaviest things Yawm al-Qiyamah. On the Day of Judgment, you will come forward with deeds. And the Prophet ﷺ told us that the heaviest of deeds is the Shahada, to say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. But the next heaviest thing after that, the Prophet ﷺ said, Ma min shay'in athqal fil mizan min husn al-khuluq. That there is nothing on that day when your good deeds are being put on the scale that is going to be heavier than your good deeds, than your good manners. You put your good manners on the scale, it will outweigh the wrongs that you have done. After your testimony of believing in one God, Allah, and accepting Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as your final messenger, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying the best and the heaviest thing after that is your good manners. So check yourselves, or check ourselves, and see where we stand. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also, he said, سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن أكثر ما يدخل الناس الجنة. The Prophet was asked, what are the key things that will enter people into paradise. With what thing are most people going to enter into paradise? The Prophet ﷺ responded, فَقَالَ تَقْوَى اللَّهِ وَحُسْنِ الْخُلْقِ. To have taqwa of Allah, to fear, to love, to have hope in Allah in everything that you do, whether it is outside or inside. The fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second thing, which was connected here with the wa, husn al-khuluq, to have righteous and good manners. So we can see here the two keys to success, the taqwa of Allah and carrying yourself with good manners. The seventh thing the Prophet ﷺ he talked about is the one who has good manners. And subhanAllah, listen to this. The one who has good manners, he will be the closest to the Prophet ﷺ. Not just on the Day of Judgment, but also in paradise. Your good manners will make you befriend and be close to the Prophet ﷺ, Yawm al-Qiyamah, and in Jannah. What better place, what better person to stand next to on the Day of Judgment where you're being tested, the most scariest of days, and the one beside you is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Here the Prophet said, the aqrab minni majalisan yawm al-qiyamah wa hasinukum akhlaqan, that the best of people who will be next to me, who will accompany me, will be the ones who had good manners. So once again, my dear brothers and my dear sisters, a gentle warning about having the negative characteristic of having a vulgar tongue. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, خياركم خياركم لأهلي وأنا خياركم لأهلي. Now, you know, everybody will claim they have good manners. Everybody will say that they have good manners. When you go to your workplace, you ask your colleagues, yeah, he's very good, he's a gentleman, she works well. You go out to the stores, your neighbors, and like, yeah, he's very good. But you know, if you really want to know if you have good manners, and try all this when you go home, the one person you need to ask if you have good manners is your wife. Or your wife needs to ask her husband, because you two see each other 24 hours of the day. You two live with each other all the time. So you know the reality of each other. We can hide in front of other people, dress well, speak well, for 5-10 minutes we see each other, it's great. But the reality is what takes place at home. So if you want to check yourself on your manners, go home and ask your wife and tell her to be honest as well. And you will see where you stand with your manners. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِ, the best of you when it comes to your manners, the best of you are those who are best to their families. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he stood up and he was proud in a good way. And he said, and I am the one who is best to my family. And a number of times, and he was even asked, who is the most beloved to you? Man ahabbi ilayk. Who is the most beloved to you? And he was in front of his companions. What did he say? He said, Aisha. He mentioned his wife's name in front of the people. When you say the wife, we get shy. We don't even like to mention her name in public. It's like it's going to reduce our manhood. But here, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Aisha. He mentioned her name. And then they said, who next? And what did he say? He said, the father of Aisha. You could have said Abu Bakr, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted to give the honor and the privilege to Aisha to get to Abu Bakr. So he said, the father of Aisha. So the best of you are those who are best to their families. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. الحمد لله الواحد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. So whenever brothers and sisters, we've seen the various points highlighting the importance of having good manners, being with the Prophet ﷺ, attaining the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then we can ask, what is the definition of having good manners? There are a number of scholars that have given a definition for good manners. Let us go through one or two of them so we can understand. Ibn Abbas himself, when he was asked, what is husn al-khuluq? He said it is to remain patient when someone shows you ignorance. Someone shows you bad manners and you remain patient at that time. He further said it is to control your anger when you are irritated. And finally it is to forgive someone when somebody has wronged you. Al-afu wal-maghfirah. He said to pardon people and to forgive people. This is part of good manners. In another definition given to us by our scholars, they say the essence of akhlaq is to control one's anger and to show happiness at all times, and to help Muslims when they need your help. Furthermore, in the 9th year of Hijrah, in the Battle of Hunayn, the Prophet ﷺ, at that time, they received a lot of ghanima, a lot of wealth from that battle. So one of the clans, or the chief of the clans, came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he grabbed the Prophet ﷺ by his cloak. So much so that it is said that he grabbed him in such a harsh way that he left a mark on the Prophet ﷺ. And he demanded his share of the booty. He demanded something because his people, his clan were fighting. The Prophet ﷺ at that point, what do you think he did? Do you think he hit him? Do you think he did what he did to him? The Prophet ﷺ, he smiled, and not just smiled, he laughed and gave him his share of the wealth. My dear brothers and sisters, this is the manner of the best of people, the best man to walk on this earth. Where are our manners when it comes to such situations? Another definition is that you are shy and modest, and that you minimize irritating other people, and that you are truthful when you speak. In other words, your actions speak louder than words. That is another definition of having good manners. The scholars also do break down good manners into three types. The first type is akhlaq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is akhlaq with people, fellow mankind. And the third is akhlaq with yourself. When we say to have a husn al-khuluq with Allah, what does that mean? That means you are obedient to Allah. That means you worship Allah. That means you do that which is halal and you stay away from that which is haram. That is how you perfect your manners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Akhlaq with other people, your parents, your children, your neighbors, your surroundings, your environment, that you treat all of them with respect. And yes, at the same time, when it comes to husn al-khuluq, there is no difference between treating a Muslim or a non-Muslim differently. Rather, once the Prophet ﷺ was sitting and he saw a funeral pass by, the Prophet ﷺ stood up. And one of the companions said, Ya Rasulullah, why did you stand up? And he said, before answering, he said, why did you stand up? The procession or the funeral that's taking place is of a Jew. It's not a Muslim. And the Prophet ﷺ responded, Alam yakun insanan, was this person not a human being? He's showing respect to the fact that it's a human being. Fair enough, he doesn't share our belief, but he's still an insan. And we must have that level of love and compassion, not just for Muslims, but for the world, for everybody. And that was the message of the Prophet ﷺ. The akhlaq with yourselves. The akhlaq with yourselves is a number of things. From amongst those is your bodies. It is very important that you take care of your bodies. It is very important that you take care of your sleep, the food that you eat. It's very important that you remain healthy. That's one of the manners in which you can have husn al-khuluq with yourself. Don't destroy your bodies with cigarettes. Don't destroy your bodies with all sorts of drugs. Or even your mind. Don't pollute your mind with things that are not going to benefit you. Have husn al-khuluq with yourself. Put inside your brains that which is healthy and productive. Eat that which is going to help you in the coming days. So have husn al-khuluq with yourselves as well. And the last thing I would like to talk about before I said is the fact that there are two hadiths. People on this topic of good manners can be of two extremes, and it needs to be balanced out. You have the first extreme, where you will find that a person will focus so much on his outward self, the way he looks. He wants to look like a Muslim, which is great, but he focuses so much on his outer appearance that his heart is dead. That when you speak to him, you don't want to continue speaking to him. You don't enjoy a conversation with him. He's too dry. He's only understood Islam from the zahir, from the outside. And the second type of people are those that have understood Islam to be everything to do with the heart, and nothing is manifested. So if you ask them, brother, why didn't you pray? He says, oh, Islam is in my heart. Brother, did you not fast? Oh, I love Allah, everything is okay, I have good manners. But this is extreme on either ways. In one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, shall I tell you about the muflis? What is the muflis? The one that is bankrupt. Who is the one who is bankrupt? The one who will turn up on the day of judgment and his good deeds will be so high. He will have so many good deeds and he will be happy, I've done all this work. But then his accountability will start and he's lied to someone. He's cheated someone. He's wronged someone. He's backbit someone. And people will take what is rightfully theirs until the point he is left with no good deeds. And the Prophet ﷺ said, this person is a muflis, is one who is bankrupt. He came with lots and he left with nothing. Why? Because of his manners. He didn't understand husn al-khuluq. And likewise, on the other side, once Aisha anha asked the Prophet ﷺ about her uncle Abdullah ibn Judan. Abdullah ibn Judan was a great friend of Abdul Muttalib, and he was a very generous man. He would help people out in his time. He used to give lots of charity, help people. The Hujjaj used to take care of the Hujjaj. But he died without embracing Islam. So Aisha asked the Prophet ﷺ about what is his affair. And if you read the life of Aisha, subhanAllah, very beautiful Like, she was very inquisitive, and that's why she has so many different hadith, so many different things to teach us. She asks, what is his affair in the hereafter? And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that, she asked, does he enter paradise? The Prophet responded in negative and said, no, he does not enter paradise. Even though he used to help the Hujjaj, even though he was the most generous of people, the Prophet said, because he never accepted Islam. He never entered into Islam. So we can see, my dear brothers and my dear sisters, that your manners and your iman, like we said, at-taqwa wa husnul khuluq, that you must have the best of manners, but that must be coupled with what? At-taqwa, the belief in Allah, listening to what He is telling you, abiding by what He is telling you. It is not sufficient. It is not sufficient just to have good manners and think you're going to Jannah without praying and fasting and all the things. You must strike a balance. You must look like a Muslim, and you must also inwardly have the heart and the iman and the character of a Muslim at the same time. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم اعز الإسلام والمسلمين. وأذل الشرك والمشركين. ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين. وانصر عبادك الموحدين. اللهم انصر عبادك الموحدين. اللهم انصر الدين ومن نصر الدين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. إن الله يأمركم بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقيموا الصلاة. Before we pray, two very quick